I was a high school student, living with my mother in a third-floor apartment. I used to sleep in the living room because the apartment only had one bedroom and it was my mom's. I was happy with that little space I had. I was a happy kid. I always got up 6 a.m. to go to school, and my mom always got up 5 a.m. to have time to shower and make breakfast before dropping me at school and heading to work. That morning, I woke up and the lights were all on, every single one of them, even the one in my room. I went to grab my phone, and it wasn't there. Odd. I headed to the bathroom and saw all the drawers and doors of every furniture we had were open. I was deeply confused. Anyways, my mom came out of the bathroom and asked me what the hell I've been doing. I told her I didn't know what she was talking about, and that I thought she did that since she is always up 1 hour earlier than me. I also asked if she'd seen my cell phone. Then I saw it, deep inside her green eyes, the realization. I could see the fear, and all the pieces inside her head clicking in place. She leaped to the kitchen and found the window wide open, a kitchen knife on the ground, and some dusty fingerprints on the wall, where someone put weight on to climb inside. It was then, when my sleepy head put the pieces together too. Someone, somehow, climbed all the way up our balcony, got inside the apartment and robbed us, all while I was asleep in my bed, right there in the living room. She hugged me and asked me if I was okay. I said I never heard anything, didn't even wake up when this unknown person turned the lights on and rummaged through our stuff. It was super weird. I was the lightest sleeper I still am, many years later. They didn't dare to open my mom's bedroom door so she didn't notice a thing. My grandma says that some angel protected me in my sleep and that's why I didn't wake up, but I don't believe in that stuff. I don't think they knew I was there either. Police never found the robber, and we put steel bars on the window. We moved anyways, sometime after that. This happened when I was still in high school. At least 6 years have passed. My mother and I moved from that apartment. Now I'm grown up and living with my boyfriend, but until today I'm still paranoid and keep thinking why I didn't wake up, though I am grateful that I didn't. Super heavy lurker, but this is my very first post, so cut me some slack for my newbie ways. I try to be as clear as possible, so if you end up having questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Also, I wasn't sure if this was quite the right place to post this, so if there's somewhere else I should have posted it, please let me know. So this happened my senior year of college, over a year ago. I lived in a college neighborhood, surrounded by other kids that went to my school with the exception of a family or two. We knew our neighbors well, and everyone was fairly civil with one another. We did keep in mind though that this was a college area, and some sketchy things could happen. I think it was May when the first break-in happened. I woke up one morning to some texts in my group message telling me that my next door neighbor's house had been broken into. They had multiple things stolen: a backpack with a laptop and textbooks inside, a gaming console. They had notified the police, and they were on the case. This obviously set my roommates and I into a little bit of a panic because we were a house of 4 girls, and none of us being wildly brave by any means. We decided the best we could do was make sure our door was locked at all times, whether we were home or not. So that's what we did. Flash forward to a couple of days later. My roommate, Maggie, and I were the only 2 home out of the 4 who lived in our house. We stayed up late watching movies as we always did, and then I headed off to my room to go to bed, while Maggie stayed on the couch. We were, I'm not pleased to admit, the worst at turning off the lights and saving electricity. So this night, the light in the kitchen, living room, and hallway were all on. Sorry, I know. We got better about turning lights off eventually. I slept soundly through the night and woke up as the sun shone through the cracks in my blinds the next morning. As usual, after I woke up I spent about 10 minutes in bed on my phone before getting up to use the bathroom. On my way back into my bedroom, I noticed that my blinds were tapping slightly against my window frame, suggesting that there was a breeze. My fan was off and my window was closed, so there should be no movement, right? Well, right, if my window had been closed. When I drew open my blinds, I was absolutely horrified to see that my bedroom window had been completely open all night, or at least since after I had gone to sleep. I knew that my window was shut when I went to sleep the night before, And there is something wildly unsettling about the fact that my bed is also pushed up on the wall right against my window. So perfectly, in fact, that I used to sit in my window, on my bed, with my feet completely able to touch the grass below. That's how low this window is, and that's how close my bed is. Now, at this point, I was frantic. I ran out into the living room to see if Maggie was okay, and if she had noticed anything or heard anything throughout the night. She wasn't home, and I assumed she had gone to class. I texted her immediately, explaining what had happened and asking all of my questions. She responded lightning fast. She had woken up this morning in the living room, and when she walked into her bedroom to get ready for class, her window was open. Her desk, which sits right in front of her window, was pushed away from the wall, and her closet doors, which were always open because they jutted right up against the carpet, so they were very hard to open, and close, were closed. She said it looked exactly as though someone pushed her desk away from the window to give themselves more room to enter quietly. In an absolute frenzy, I texted my other roommates, who hadn't been home, and my group message alerting them of what had happened. I crawled the house looking to see if any of my things were missing, and when my roommates came home later that day, they did the same. Nothing had been stolen, not even my laptop or my phone, which were both charging on my bed, right in front of the window. Not even Maggie's Apple Watch that was sitting on her desk in front of her window. We did call the police, and they came to file a report, but they never followed up with us about it. I asked if they could dust my window for prints, as there had to have been handprints, because the only way to open my window from the outside is to press your palms directly on the glass and push upward with significant force. But they never followed through with doing that either. I'm not sure really what to think of this, as maybe it was a planned break-in, but they didn't think I would be asleep in their point of entry. But they entered, we think, through another window nonetheless. So why didn't they take anything? And how did the sounds not wake us up? I was directly next to my window, so they would have had to completely jump over my body to enter my room. So I don't think they did enter from there, at least, which is a little relieving. Maybe they didn't enter at all because the lights were all on and they realized people were home. But our cars were in the driveway, and it did seem as though they entered because Maggie's closet doors were shut. This was super bizarre to me. I'm just relieved that I've since moved out of that house. I'm pretty annoyed that the police didn't take it very seriously, but at least I'm also a little relieved that the people who broke in and I never had to meet. Okay, I'm going to try to explain this clearly without it being a novel. In my early 20s, I waitressed, bartended at a hotel restaurant. Construction workers in town for work often stayed at the hotel and would come eat and drink at the restaurant. I met a really tall, cute guy, not the creep, but ultimately a prick, and whenever he was in town we would hang out and whatever. He lived 2 states over, but was in my area a lot. So one time he was working a job and staying in a town the state over, and I drove to meet him. When I got to his hotel, we went to the hotel bar and had a few drinks with some other construction guys that happened to be there, not his company, then went back to the room. Later we decided to order food from the bar. The prick was in the shower when the bar called, so I went and picked up our food. When I got down there, the guys we were drinking with earlier were still there, and pretty sauced by this time. The bartender was busy for a while, so I sat and played the digital slots. One of the construction guys, the creep, came over and immediately started hitting on me and trying to touch me and put his arm around me and crap, despite knowing full well I was there with someone else. He kept telling me his room number over and over. I had to loudly tell him to get away from me multiple times, and he finally did only once others started noticing. In my flustered rage, I grabbed my food from the bartender and went back to the room and told the prick all about it. He rolled his eyes, but kinda shrugged it off. I was really put off by it all and felt really vulnerable. That's when I realized my phone was gone. Damn, I left it at the bar on the slot machine. Prick, and I went to the bar to look for it. The guys were gone, but the bartender told me the creep took my phone and assured him he was going to return it to me. Great. Then I remembered that he had told me his room number. I told the prick this, and he of course passively accused me of asking for it. I didn't care. and marched him to Creep's room. I knocked, and the prick 6'7" by the way stayed to the side out of view of the peephole to see what would happen. The creep way too enthusiastically swung the door open and grabbed my wrist and proceeded to try to pull me into the room. Thank God for the prick, who then stepped behind me and yelled "Hey" to the creep, who was half his size. I'll never forget the look on the creep's face, like he just shat a full brick. I yanked my arm away and yelled, "Give me my phone." The creep lied and said he didn't have it, and the bartender was lying, and blah blah. The prick didn't do anything else at this point, so we just left. I felt defeated and unsafe and annoyed and just wanted to leave, but I couldn't because I didn't have my phone. I managed to sleep a little that night, but woke up at like 4:30 a.m. When the prick left to go to work, I stayed in the hotel room till about 7 a.m., just fuming. Then I decided to do something about it. I gathered my stuff and went and found a maintenance man who was working in the pool area. I contemplated telling him the whole story, but decided to just damsel in distress it to avoid more drama. I told him I was leaving and realized I had locked my phone in my room and gave him the creep's room number. I knew the creep would already be at his job site. We went to his room and I had the maintenance man call my cell phone from his. Sure enough, you could hear a faint vibrating through the door. He took this as proof of it being my room and opened the door and let me in. I thanked him and he left. There it was, just sitting on the bathroom counter. My phone. I grabbed it and turned to leave, but decided my petty ass wasn't done yet. I took the creep's toothbrush and ran it all along under the toilet rim and put it back in the same spot. Then I happily left, phone in hand, and stopped seeing the prick for good. I still smiled knowing that the creep had to notice that my phone was gone, but probably had no idea how I got it back, or that he was brushing his teeth with toilet germs. A few years ago, my boyfriend and best friend of 4 years had just dumped me. I was using this website Meet Me to meet people in my area while I was in college. My profile clearly stated that I was not explicitly looking for anyone to date, just wanted to meet new people. I had just been dumped, so I was really trying to put myself out there, and I'm not really the type to go out. In my area, there is a giant dance-a-thon that my university did every year to raise money for a children's hospital. I had someone message me and ask if I had heard of it. I told him my dance team usually performed at it every year. He told me he was actually one of the children that was supported by the event when he was younger. I thought that was really cool, so I asked him a little about his experience with that and genuinely thought it was interesting. After a while, that conversation was kind of dead and I didn't really have much else to say. Plus it was getting late and I kind of wanted to go to bed. I told him so, and after about 10 minutes of laying in my bed trying to sleep, I got another notification. I glanced at it real fast, and this dude had honestly sent me a novel. After this event, I swiftly deleted the account, so unfortunately I don't have access to the exact messages, so I'm going to do my best to remember. The first one went a little something like, "Look, I will be honest, I really want to keep talking to you. In fact, I'd actually really like to take you on a date sometime. You seem like a really nice girl, and very sweet and interesting. I think we would get along extremely well. I am kind of alone in this world." Insert long-winded commentary about his loneliness here. He also did not use any punctuation, so it took me a long time to dissect this. I responded and told him I wasn't interested. He was about 7 years older than me. I was 20 at the time and tried to say goodnight again. Then he responded with another novel along the lines of, "I don't think you understand. You are perfect for me. You were made for me. I'm sure of it. God speaks to me, you know. God wants us to be together, and we will be. One day, you will be mine." I'm trying to be polite because he was so nice earlier, and I guess I'm naive. I don't totally know, but I kept responding, trying to let him down easy. Here are some more highlights. "Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but God has decided this. Who are we to deny him of his plan? Someday in the future, we will end up together. You will realize it soon. We're going to have 3 children. I know their names. 2 boys, 1 girl. God spoke their names to me. I wrote them down when I was 7 years old and I still have the paper. Do you know how I know you're going to be my wife? Because I wrote your name down with it. You will be my wife. Don't make a mistake. God is talking to me now. He's saying your name to me. I can't let you leave. At that point, I blocked and reported him, noped the hell off the site, and went to bed all creeped out. Morning came and he had found me on Facebook. And he was going on and on, starting with comments along the lines of, "Where did you go? How could you do this to me? You're denying your fate." He did it all night. I freaked out, told him to leave me alone pretty aggressively, and blocked him. I deleted all of the social media apps off my phone for the next few days. I asked my roommates to stay at home with me. They agreed after I told them what happened. I was actually genuinely afraid this dude was going to come find me. I mean, he was local and I had made nice conversation by telling him my major and some clubs I was in. He could have showed up anywhere, but thankfully he did not, and that was the end of that. So, creepy meet me dude, let's not meet. Long-time listener, first-time caller, so this is still an active situation that we are trying to figure out how to deal with. This is going to be a long post, but the details are needed to give you an idea of how crazy this whole thing is. Okay, so I, 29 female, switched up my career in healthcare to follow my dream of learning to work on cars. I was hired this past May at a dealership as a quick service mechanic, and fell in love immediately with everything about it and my co-workers. I had noticed how cute my trainer was. Not only was he cute, but he was very patient with training me. I was so new to working on cars, I needed to learn the basics. And he was so cute and nice about everything. I'll call him Nick, 40 male. Me and Nick had hit it off in every way. He asked me on our first date to go geocaching. Nick and I have been side by side since then. I loved everyone I worked with, always laughing and playing pranks on each other, but also always helping each other and busting our asses to make the customers happy. I should add that my best friend works there, and another good friend of ours had gotten hired too. We were a close-knit family in the quick service department. Well, I didn't make it past my probationary period, because I was just a bit slower. So Nick has a full mechanic garage at his dad's place, and I'd meet him after he got off work so we could make some side job money. So about a month and a half ago, Nick and I decided to get an apartment together, and it's been amazing. I've been bringing him to work, grabbing him on lunch break and picking him up, which I love, because I can also say hey to all my old coworkers. That being said, I should add that Nick doesn't have any social media, and we are together literally all the time except when he's working. Here's where everything gets crazy. I get a message request on Facebook from some random girl saying, "I can't believe what I am seeing. Nick is my man, and he's in your profile photo with you. He's been my man for 7 months." I immediately went into panic mode. Called him at work asking who this girl is. He was just as confused. The more I talked to this girl to try and figure out what the hell is going on, the more she said weirdly specific things about Nick, like the truck he drives. They meet up at his dad's shop, which no one would know about his dad's shop because he never talks about it. She knew his phone number and everything, but she could never provide proof. Screenshot conversations, photos of the two of them, nothing. We got to a point where it felt like this whole thing was real, and that her and I were gonna team up. But she never answered my calls, only messages. But after Nick and I had a huge talk about it, I knew that something wasn't right about this girl. I had to get to the bottom of it. I started getting pretty scared when one day I dropped Nick off after lunch. A minute went by and I get a message saying, "Damn, Nick looks sexy in that hoodie today." This shook me up. I asked what color, and she said the correct color. At this point, my first thought is stalker, like actually watching us. I told Nick about how she knew what he was wearing, and he was super creeped out. Then when I pick him up, I'll usually park by the quiet side of the building where no one can really see me. This time though, a work truck drives by me real slowly. I pretend not to notice him because I was in no mood to chat with anyone, and I recognized the driver as a former co-worker of mine that I'd only spoken to maybe 2 times during my time at the dealership. However, we were friends on Facebook. Within a minute of him passing me by, the girlfriend messages me saying, "You're waiting for Nick on the side of the building right now." In that moment, I started to freak out. This dude is pretending to be my boyfriend's girlfriend. Then after talking to Nick about it, yeah, he's the only one from work that Nick's dad had a shop. Nick had worked on this guy's truck before. They aren't friends, but chat here and there. Well, not anymore, but I just don't know why. He was saying such gross things to me as he was pretending to be my boyfriend's girlfriend. If he's capable of doing this, who knows what else he's capable of. He's also a giant dude in his 40s, with children of his own. I have no actual proof other than the fact that any Tinder this girl was active. So was he. I see this dude every day, and Nick still works with him. He's in a different department than Nick, thank God. So yeah, still not sure what to do about this. But crazy former co-worker pretending to be my boyfriend's girlfriend to get us to break up or something weird. Let's not meet again, even though I know I'll see you tomorrow.